Hi students, this video is a quick introduction to some of the things that you'll need to know to set up a really good Works Cited page. And this video will give you a quick introduction, but before we get into it, I really wanted just to mention that if you have specific questions about citing something, I always recommend heading to a website called the Purdue OWL. That's the Online Writing Lab. They have great information, not just for MLA, although they have MLA information including in-text, paper setup, a sample paper, but they also have information about things like APA and Chicago. That information is always much more credible and trustworthy. Many of you are familiar with things, other websites out there, things like EasyBib, or even perhaps software like Zotero and other things. Can all be useful tools, but I think it's really important that you understand how and why it works so that you know whether what you're getting on the other end is actually something that's useful and correct. Because again, with citation, with professionalism, it's really hard to get a second first impression. So, what I'm going to do here is share an example works cited page. Some of these citations are drawn from that Purdue OWL website. And I'm going to talk you through a little bit about what you need to know. This can be a nice reference for you as you work on building your own works cited pages, whether it's in this class, whether it's in a writing or a literature class, or beyond as well. So, in just a moment, I'm going to share a screen here that I hope will help you see a little bit about what we're doing. So, I'm going to start at the first one. Before we get there, I just want to highlight some of the layout, right? The things that you generally want to expect. You'll notice that this is double spaced, right? So again, that spacing is designed so that you can, as a writer, go back, make edits, make changes as you go, and you can write them in there if you print it out. Don't forget that running header at the top that has your last name and the page. And at the works cited at the top, right? These are basically your promise to the reader to say, hey, this is the references. If you want to go and follow what we shared with you in the paper, this is where you can go find it yourself. Now, the one thing I want to mention that I haven't done here, and I've done that intentionally so that I can highlight some things, um, is that I haven't alphabetized the list, right? And you'll notice here we have this indented, this running header here. This is so that you can find those last names really quickly. So again, just a reminder, those need to be alphabetized A to Z, just like you normally would here. But I've separated them out for a little clarity. The first one is really familiar, right? It's just a simple book, right? Last name, first name, exactly the way they spell it. The title of the book, right? In MLA, you italicize or underline the title of the book. You have the city of publication if they provide it. If they don't provide it, you can put N period P period, the name of the publisher, and then the publication date, right? And this model is always available. You can use this, or you can go online and see a similar model. Now, here's an example of another book. Actually, this is a really amazing book. I recommend it, but you'll notice again here, right, a middle name drops here at the end. It's given the title. This one, though, is an ebook, right? And so if you have an ebook, you can just include ebook right before the rest of the publication date, just so readers know that it's not going to have the same pages or page numbers that a regular book might have. If it's a specific store's ebook, you might say Kindle ebook, just some reference so that readers know where they can find the exact book that you had, right? In case that citation is a little strange, they can always check and see that it's exactly the way you had it. Now, this is something you're going to see a lot, the work in an anthology, right? An anthology is something where you have a lot of different texts all brought together in one single book, right? So if you have, for example, a textbook in a writing class, that is almost always an anthology. It's got a lot of different things. We often read more than one author so that we can practice with a lot of different styles. Here you'll see the last name, the first name, just like before, but here in quotation marks is the title of the individual essay, right? Don't give the editors, they didn't write everything in the book. Then you have the title of the collection, right? So it might be something like Rereading America, right? That textbook that we have if you're in college writing too. Then you'll have the editor's name, so edited by, and then you list the editor's names. Now, if you have more than two, there's a nice trick, right? What you can do is if you've got maybe three or four, you can say, let's say, Mike Smith is your editor. Um, and there's 5 other people, you can put et al after that, right? Et al is short for a Latin phrase that just means and others, right? So they have already fought about who's going to be first, and in this case, Mike Smith won, right? His name is listed first. So you would see Mike Smith and others, publisher, year, and the page range of the entry, right? And here's a great example, right? And you'll use this abbreviation to indicate that those are the pages that you have. Any part of it, right? So even if it's just one line, make sure you include that, right? That helps readers when they go, maybe they want to request it from a library. It helps them make sure that they get the whole thing. So again, you can see this example, the author, the title of the piece, the title of the book, the name of the editor, the publisher, the year, and the page range. Don't expect or don't really feel pressure to memorize this. You can always look it up and then just plug in that information very carefully. And again, care is really important here because this is the way you can show your professionalism. The next one that you'll see here is an issue in or a article in a scholarly journal, right? Again, unless you're doing some really specialized research, you're not going to cite that entire issue or that entire journal. You're going to cite an individual article, right? That means here that you'll need to, again, find the author of that individual article. Remember, if you're in the sciences, you're going to have a ton of articles that have lots of people. So, again, pay attention to the et al rule, because so if you have more then if you have 3 or more, you can just take that first name and put et al. Um, then you can have the title, right? And again, present it exactly the way they have it. The title of the journal, the volume, right? So volume 15, issue number, the year, right? And sometimes it'll have like maybe an autumn, something, you can include that here, and then the page numbers that it's on. Here's the trick. If you are on a database, life is going to be a little easier for you because you can just go on almost any database and there is a citation tool. It will basically, you'll hit cite and you can select the style that you want, right? And again, this is the MLA, the latest edition, but you might also pull it down in APA or Chicago or some other style, depending on what your professor is asking for. So again, using the databases, there's kind of a reward there that you can actually get that. Some places will also have what's called a DOI number. And again, you can include that at the end. That is a unique number so that anyone, anywhere in the world with a library can find that specific article. It's a really nice tool. It's actually even better than a web address because sometimes those change. The last one here is an example of a website. And I think this is something, again, so this is a specific page on a website, something that might happen a lot of times. Now, remember, it's up to you as the writer to make sure this is credible, right? This one might not be the strongest source for maybe a research paper, but you can see here we've got the last name of the author, the first name, the title of that page, you got the title of the website, and then here the address, and this is also important, the date that you accessed the website. Because if they go and change it tomorrow, if you don't provide that information, that becomes your problem, right? You are responsible for that information. Here you're saying, this is how it was, right, on July 6th, 2015. If it changed after that, I can't, you can't necessarily be responsible for that. This lets readers know that, hey, this is how it was when I saw it. So again, this is not an exhaustive list, right? There's other options available. The Purdue OWL is your best guide for this. It's been around forever. They are, again, a really great resource for you. If you do have specific questions about citing a specific source, maybe something we've read in class, you can always talk to me, or you can set up an appointment with one of our writing assistants. And again, these are students that have training and experience with this, and they can help you find the right model for this, and that you can plug in that information to make sure that your citations are very clear, very professional, and can help make sure you've covered your bases as you write an academic paper of any kind. So, thank you so much for taking the time. If you have questions, please let me know. And good luck.